A very special good morning to you. First of all, I must tell you that on this journey of yours for the next 2 to 3 years, there is going to be many ups and downs. And it's part of the life. You cannot ignore it. To a certain extent, you can control it, but you need to face it. That's what the happy part of it. So remember one thing, your hard work, your determination will always pay out. When we'll be moving forward, be assured that there will be obstacles. There will be certain challenges. Consider it today so that when you start facing these challenges afterwards, you do not have any worry about it, because in your plan, you have already considered it. Each and everything has a cost. If we want to enjoy the luxury of life, it has a cost. It does not come easy. The stalwarts which we know in India, whether we talk today about Mr. Ambani or Adani, they have attained the heights only because at certain point in their life, they must have faced the pains, and they were quite smart enough that with their hard work, with their efforts, they were able to sort it out, and they have moved forward to this extent. Your journey of next 2 to 3 years will be similar, wherein you will be sacrificing your personal life, your day-to-day socializing, but then you should always remember that each and everything which you are doing for a good cause. And that good cause is not only to you, that good cause is to the entire society where you will be serving. That good cause will not only bring glory to you, but glory to your family, glory to your teachers, glory to your alma mater, glory to the entire Indian society. And I'll also broaden it to, humanity also. So when you are doing something for a good cause, so remember, each and every step of yours, each and every efforts of yours will be counted in it, will matter. And that's why whatever steps you'll be taking from today, ensure that those are the best efforts in a very planned way, coordinated way, wherein you can attain the heights, the success of cracking UPSC. Never mind, as I told you, that there'll be ups and downs. See, each and every failure gives a very rich learning and experience. So we need to try to learn from our mistakes also when we fail. Rather than criticizing us and the environment, we need to learn from the failures, because I always believe that these are some of the finest experience when at times we fail in our life. So each and every failure also will give you a rich experience. Each and every targets which you'll be setting for yourself, if not attainable, that will give you a learning experience as to why, how it can be overcome. All these are no doubt will add beauty to your life, journey of life, learning in the life. So my request to you all is in the first lecture is that please focus only on one thing, leave the rest, and the focus should be what best you can put in. See, there will be certain variables which are uncontrollable. We cannot control it. Let it be. But then the variables which we can control it, and what we can control, how I can give in my best, so that is my hard work. So don't focus on the result, don't focus on anything, focus on, a determined hard work wherein you are working seriously, sincerely in order to attain the desire of your life, objective of your life, and that's what is UPSC. So my dear students, I wish you all the best, and I hope so that when you are here with us for the next 1 year, you must have certain hopes, certain aspirations, which you will be expecting from us. I promise you all, as far as my subjects is concerned, that whatever I'll be committing today, in the next 1 year, I'll be fulfilling it to such an extent that your journey to UPSC becomes easy. I'll ensure that in economics, you will not face any set of difficulty. Take my words today. The only thing which I'll be expecting from you all is that you need to cooperate. And what type of cooperation I'm expecting? The only cooperation I'm expecting from you is that whenever you do not understand, please ask. Do ask. Most of the time, if students do have a psychology कि मैं पूछूंगा तो सर क्या सोचेंगे कि इसको इतना भी पता नहीं है, मेरे बगल वाले क्या सोचेंगे इसको इतना छोटा चीज पता नहीं है। आप मेरी बात समझ लीजिए, आपके बगल वाले भी यही सोच रहे हैं। आपको ये सोचने की जरूरत ही नहीं। यू हैव पेड ए प्राइस फॉर इट एंड वी आर स्टडिंग इकोनॉमिक्स टुडे। सो व्हेन यू हैव पेड ए प्राइस फॉर इट, it's my duty to explain it to you. जब तक ये आप समझ नहीं पाए। So please do ask as many times as possible. If not in the class, outside the class also you can ask me. I know economics as compared to other subjects is bit tricky, bit technical, bit analytical, but then it can also be made very, very simple. And that's what in the next few lectures you will be able to understand that how economics can be, very simple. I think most of you have studied also economics during their graduation days. Either you are confused or convinced. But trust me, in lectures which I'll be carrying forward, taking forward, I'll be convincing with all the concepts and things will become very easy for you. One thing, as I told you, that you need to put in certain extra efforts in order to understand the concepts of economics as compared to other subjects. It cannot be, this subject cannot be one way. It needs to be two-way. Understood? And learning is always a two-way process. So when I'm delivering something, when I'm trying to explain you something, you need to pay 100% focus, 100% attention to it. And you need to ensure that whenever I'm completing anything and taking a pause, you are able to understand it. If not, then ask. So today, since it's a very demo lecture, I'll be giving you a brief introduction about what economics is, What are the different subject matter of economics which will be covering for UPSC? What will be the approach of study? And we'll be discussing about certain syllabus also as to what are the different dimensions of this particular subject. Now, talking about the first thing, we need to understand the meaning of economics. If I ask a question to you all, that what is the reason for me being here today morning? मैं यहाँ पर क्यों हूं? बेसिक आपका आंसर होगा कि आई एम हियर टू टीच इकोनॉमिक्स. वो सही आंसर नहीं होगा. If I ask you why all of you are here today, some of you are attending demo lectures. If I ask her that what she had in the breakfast today, so she told me that I had pohe. Somebody told me that they have Parle-G biscuit, students biscuit. Somebody told me that they have a special parathe. Somebody will also tell me that they did not have anything. And if you ask me, कि सर आपने क्या लिया, तो आई विल से कि मैं गरीब आदमी हूं, मैं कुछ नहीं लिया. My next question to you will be कि आप लोग जब आ रहे थे तो यहाँ पर एक बहुत अच्छा होटल था JW मैरियट. आपको जाकर वहां से ब्रेकफास्ट लेकर आना चाहिए था. आपने बोला सर क्या बात कर रहे हो. ऐसा क्यों आते जाते आपका मन नहीं करता है कि आई शुड ऑल्सो डाइन एट JW मैरियट? मेरा तो मन करता है. 10 साल से मैं आते रहता हूं, एक बार भी नहीं गया. मन करता है, डिजायर टू डाइन, बट देन आई हैव नेवर एक्सपीरियंस. क्यों? क्योंकि मैं गरीब आदमी हूं. If I'll ask you the reason as to why you did, why you had pohe, why somebody had idli sambar, why somebody had parathe, why somebody did not have anything. So the reasons are very simple. कि सर मेरे पास उतने ही पैसे थे so that I can have pohe. मेरा मन कर रहा था उस रेस्टोरेंट में, there were many things. मन कर रहा था I need to have masala dosa. मन कर रहा था I have vada sambar. मन कर रहा था I can have each and everything. But then मन नहीं कर रहा था सर, पॉकेट अलाउ नहीं कर रहा. Similarly, if I'll ask you a second question, कि आप यहाँ पर कैसे आए, तो बहुतों का आंसर होगा कि सर I came by public transport. Somebody will say I do have a scooty. Somebody will say I have a four-wheeler. Somebody will say I have a four-wheeler with a driver. Somebody will say sir मैं डांडी मार्च करके आया. I'm not questioning कि क्या गलत है क्या सही है. What I'm trying to tell you कि why it happened that somebody was forced to come here by walking. Why somebody used two-wheeler? Why somebody used four-wheeler? The reasons are that इनके पास जितने रिसोर्स थे, in accordance with that, they decided their modes of transportation in order to reach at this particular place. It's always there कि मैं पैदल चलकर आया था, मेरा मन कर रहा था कि मेरे पास एक टू व्हीलर होता तो अच्छा होता. जिनके पास टू व्हीलर था, वो फोर व्हीलर को देखकर कह रही है मेरे पास एक फोर व्हीलर होता तो अच्छा. और जिनके पास फोर व्हीलर है तो फाइव व्हीलर नहीं बोलेंगे, वो बोलेंगे कि एक अच्छा सा मॉडर्न आई मीन सुपर वेरिएंट कोई गाड़ी रहती ना, लाइक BMW, मर्सिडीज, तो बहुत अच्छा रहता. ना वही इट्स सो, सबका मन करता है, जो पैदल चल कर आया उसका भी मन करता है यार मेरे पास भी मर्सिडीज रहता तो अच्छा होता. दीजा, बट क्यों पैदल चल कर आना पड़ा? क्यों? क्योंकि आई कैन नॉट अफोर्ड any means of mode of transport. I'll ask you a very simple reason कि why you all are attending demo lectures. कि आपको विश्वास नहीं था कि जो इकोनॉमिक्स के टीचर आएंगे वो अच्छा पढ़ाएंगे? क्या जरूरत थी? You were not that confident that a teacher like me will teach economics very well. Your answer should be कि सर मुझे उससे मतलब नहीं है, मुझे मतलब है कि 1 लाख रुपए जो मैं दे रहा हूँ, whether I'll be getting the worth of that money or not, that's why I need to first of all investigate, and then only I'll be taking a final decision in order to take admission or not. So if you ask me that sir, if we are attending demo lecture, it's a good economic decision or not, it's a rational economic decision or not, so I'll be the first one to say it's rational economic decision. हाँ, भाजी मार्केट में जाते हो, 20 रुपए बटाटा बिक रहा है और कहीं से आवाज आई 15 रुपए केजी, तो आप दौड़कर उसकी तरफ भागते हो for 5 rupees. This is what consumer behavior is or not? So here you are spending lakhs of rupees. So when you are spending 1 lakh of rupees, definitely you need to find out what is the quality of the teachers, what is the infrastructure, what set of study materials you will be getting, so that you are quite convinced that you will be getting the worth of the money which you are going to spend. So now if you ask me, sir, why you are here? मैं इकोनॉमिक्स पढ़ाने के लिए नहीं हूं यहाँ पर, मुझे पैसे मिलते हैं इसलिए मैं हूं, और मुझे पैसे मिलेंगे इसलिए मैं हूं. और तुम लोग भी सोशल वर्क और चैरिटी के लिए यहाँ पर नहीं, अल्टीमेट ऑब्जेक्टिव यही है, टू एंजॉय कंफर्ट्स एंड लग्जरीज. Are you aligned with me, all of you? Now tell me that if some guests come to your house and they give you, while returning, going back, they give you 2000 rupees note, तो आपका रिएक्शन कैसे होता है? हाउ गुड यू फील अबाउट इट? कितने अच्छे गेस्ट हैं, बार बार आए तो अच्छा हो. और मेरी तरह गेस्ट अगर आ जाए और थैंक यू सो मच विथ ब्लेसिंग्स आ जाए, सोचो. आई एम नॉट सेइंग what good and bad. What I'm trying to tell you that we are always struggling with I always take these examples कि in Indian society whenever certain function is there, आपका बर्थडे सेलिब्रेशन या आपके घर में कोई फंक्शन होता है, तो जो गिफ्ट हम तैयार करते हैं उसमें हम कैसे लिखते हैं, टू ऐसे लिखेंगे एंड फ्रॉम ऐसे लिखेंगे। ये फ्रॉम लिखने की जरूरत क्या है, क्यों लिखते हैं फ्रॉम, क्यों बताने की जरूरत है भाई कि मैं तोहफा दे रहा हूं, दे दिया ना, आखिर उसी को जा रहा है, तो मैं क्यों बताना चाह रहा हूं, what I am giving and what you need to give। ये फ्रॉम का मतलब यही है। और देखो ना, क्यों नहीं कि आफ्टर द फंक्शन, when the function gets over, in the mid of that night there is parliamentary discussions at your home। सारे गिफ्ट अनपैक्ड होते हैं और फिर उस पर डिस्कशन होती है किसने क्या दिया। Am I right? मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा हूं कि गलत हो रहा है, मैं सही बोल रहा हूं। सोशियोलॉजिस्ट बोल सकते हैं कि ये गलत है, मैं नहीं गलत बोल रहा, मैं बोल रहा हूं कि सही हो रहा है। Why all of us are struggling with resources? I'll tell you that when we are talking about resources, these resources are limited in relative sense। We are never happy। रेंटेड फ्लैट था तब भी खुश नहीं थे, 1 BHK भगवान ने दिया फिर भी खुश नहीं, 2 BHK मिल गया नहीं, बंगलो हो गया फिर भी नहीं, हम खुश कभी नहीं होते हैं। We are never, I'll not say happy, I'll say satisfied। We are never satisfied। In relative sense we want more, so our desire, wants becomes very very unlimited। रास्ता चलते आप बहुत सारी चीजें देखते हैं और आपके मन में सब कुछ में यही आता है कि ये होता तो अच्छा होता, ये भी होता तो अच्छा होता। तो जितनी अच्छी चीजें देखते हैं ना तो आपको लगता है कि इट शुड बी विद मी। इट्स नॉट रॉन्ग, इट्स नॉट रॉन्ग, इट्स राइट, बिकॉज इट्स नेचुरल दैट human beings want to have each and everything around him or her। But then the problem is that we desire, we tend to, we desire to have each and everything which we see around us, but then the problem is that we struggle with the resources। When at your home, you must have experienced this. Let's say when the onion is very, I mean, not that costly, it's 15 rupees per kg। तो देखो किचन में आपके एक दो इधर उधर गिरा रहेगा, nobody will bother about it। And see the chopping style of your mama, उनको पता है कि ओनियन सस्ता हो गया है तो उनकी चॉपिंग स्टाइल देखो। और वही ओनियन लेट से बिकम 120 रुपी kg, तो एक भी घर में गिरा रहेगा ना तो एवरीबॉडी विल टेक केयर अबाउट कि देखो ये गिरा हुआ है सही जगह पर। एंड देन सी दी चॉपिंग स्टाइल, प्यार से एक भी सेल वेस्ट ना हो उसका। सी द सेम कमोडिटी हैज बिकम प्रेशियस and the way we look at it has changed। Why? Limited resources। आप लोग दोनों दोस्त हो, आज आकर इसको चाय पिलाओ, क्यों नहीं, कल भी जाकर चाय पिलाओ, परसों भी पिलाओगी, पिलाओगी, ठीक है फिर हम लोग आएंगे। परसों you will be expecting the same from her or not? तुमको पिलाना चाहिए नहीं, हाँ ना? So why it's so? Why it's so? It's so because अगर नहीं तो चलो हम लोग सब आकर पीते हैं। लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेस। I'll give you more examples so that you can apply this subject and you can develop a feeling as to how these particular subjects and its concepts can be applied in your day-to-day life. So I'll be today discussing only about, how it can be applied at a very household level. That's why I'm taking such examples. Now, when you will become an IAS officer, so you will be getting married. है ना? करना पड़ता है, कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है इंडियन सोसाइटी में. तो आप लोग की शादी होगी ना, आप लोग इतने शर्मा क्यों रहे हो शादी के नाम पर? उनको होता है ना, वो करना पड़ता है. तो तुम्हारी शादी होगी, तो तुम्हारी शादी के डिसीजंस कैसे होंगे? वो पॉलिटिकल डिसीजन होगा, सोशल डिसीजन होगा या इकोनॉमिक डिसीजन होगा? इकोनॉमिक नहीं. सोशियोलॉजिस्ट वाले आएंगे ना, सोशियोलॉजी वाले, तो बोलेंगे कि सोशल डिसीजन होगा, कोई बोलेगा पॉलिटिकल डिसीजन हो. मैं तो सिंपली इकोनॉमिक्स ही बोलूंगा. और है भी, देखो कैसे है, क्या शादी कैसे बात करती है, लड़का क्या करता है, कितनी उसकी संपत्ति है. अभी कोई किसी ने कैरेक्टर की बात नहीं की. फर्स्ट इंप्रेशन क्या होता है, करता क्या, हाउ मच ही अर्न्स और सी अर्न्स ऑल्सो. आज लड़के भी वही सोचते हैं कि लड़की क्या करती है, लड़की भी सोचती है भाई लड़का क्या करता है, हाउ मच ही अर्न्स. एंड व्हाई सो? it's not wrong, it's right. Simply because they want to enjoy comforts and luxury. They want to satisfy their unlimited wants and demands as much as possible, and that's why if they do have a single earning before marriage, post marriage, they want to have that their partner should earn so that they can enjoy comforts and luxury. So if we talk about marriages today, whether that is a political or social decision, I'll 100% say that this is also an economic decision. और क्यों नहीं इकोनॉमिक डिसीजन? आप बताइए, रिचेस्ट मैन क्या स्लम एरिया में किसी लड़की से शादी करते हैं क्या? या रिचेस्ट विमेन स्लम एरिया में जाकर कोई ऐसे बॉय से शादी करते हैं क्या? नहीं. I'm not talking about exception. I'm talking about, in general. So even you can well understand that the applications of economics can be applied to that extent where when you are deciding to select your partner, selection of your partner also becomes an economic decision. So the reason, if you could find the reason why you had Pohe and not Vada Sambar, the reason why you use public transport and not BMW Mercedes, the reason why I am here, the reason why you are here, the reason why your parents each and every day go to offices, the reason why this institute exists, the reasons for all these things lies inherently in economic principles. So you can well imagine, you can well understand to what extent the principles of economics are being applied in day-to-day life. Your decision to attend demo lectures was also an economic decision. And what forces us to take such decisions? The limited resources. Due to limited resources only, I am here today morning so that I can make money and I can expand the base of my limited resource. Due to limited resource only, whether it's summer, rainy or winter, your parents go to offices, go to different professions. So we are left with few things based on our discussion. and those are that most of the time we are into this situation only, completely into this situation. So when we are struggling with this, we want to have this, how to go about it? पैसे भी नहीं है और मन कर रहा है कि JW मैरियट में ब्रेकफास्ट। अजीब है ना, क्योंकि मन को कंट्रोल थोड़ी कर सकते हैं। पैसे भी नहीं है और मन कर रहा है कि आई शुड ओन BMW। तो क्या करें, कैसे करें हम? तो जब ऐसा हो तो हम कुछ डिसीजंस लेते हैं और वो डिसीजंस होते हैं कि हमने प्रायोरिटी डिसाइड किया। आप JW मैरियट में नाश्ता क्यों नहीं की, ब्रेकफास्ट क्यों नहीं की? क्योंकि आपको पता था कि ग्रीन ब्रेकफास्ट लेंगे तो 29 डेज भूखे रहना, इसलिए तो आप पोहे खाकर आई। और इन्होंने भी पार्ले जी बिस्किट इसी वजह से खाए। तो हम क्या करते हैं, आपने क्या किया, आपने प्रायोरिटी डिसाइड किया कि भाई ठीक है पोहे से ही काम चला लेते हैं। क्यों? क्योंकि एक दिन का आपने डिवाइड किया हुआ कि 6,000 रुपये मुझे आते हैं, तो एक दिन मुझे 200 रुपीज खर्च करने हैं, उसमें खाना भी है, रहना भी है, मिसलेनियस एक्सपेंसेस हैं। तो इस तरह से आपने क्या किया, किताब भी खरीदने हैं, तो आपने क्या किया होगा, प्रायोरिटीज डिसाइड किया होगा। पहली प्रायोरिटी आपकी क्या है, दृश्यम 2? नहीं, पहली प्रायोरिटी है आपकी फूडिंग एंड लॉजिंग। देखो किसी की प्रायोरिटी वो भी हो सकती है, बट देन उसकी अगर वही ऑब्जेक्टिव हो टू अटेन, इफ समबडी वांट्स टू बिकम एन एक्टर एंड डायरेक्टर, तो उसकी प्रायोरिटी वही होगी इन ऑर्डर टू लर्न एक्टिंग फ्रॉम दैट पर्टिकुलर मूवी। बट देन आपकी प्रायोरिटी क्या है, आपकी ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है, टू क्रैक UPSC। तो मुझे लगता है कि दैट शुड नॉट बी योर फर्स्ट और सेकेंड और थर्ड प्रायोरिटी। आपकी प्रायोरिटी क्या होनी चाहिए बेस्ड ऑन योर ऑब्जेक्टिव? आपकी प्रायोरिटी होनी चाहिए नंबर 1 फूडिंग, लॉजिंग, बुक्स, understood, other study material, magazines, that should be your priority, and you need to spend first of all on these particular commodities or products. So you need to go for prioritization. You need to make choices as to whether I need to have this or that. So remember, it is this subject called economics which teaches you how you can manage your unlimited wants with limited resources by making priorities and choices. I'm again repeating, economics, what does it do? Economics teaches you how you can manage your unlimited wants, desires with limited resources by making priorities and choices. Now, आप बताइए कि डे टू डे बेसिस पर इस इकोनॉमिक्स का, इस फंडामेंटल्स का आप एप्लीकेशन करते हैं कि नहीं? हैव यू एवर थॉट कि कितने इकोनॉमिक प्रिंसिपल्स आप अप्लाई करते हैं? और मैंने कुछ ही 1-2 एग्जांपल बोले आपके घरों में कि देखो कैसे अप्लाई होता है, कंज्यूमर बिहेवियर कैसे होता है। आप सोचो कि व्हेन टोमेटो becomes costly 100 rupees per kg, तो देखो आपके घरों में उसकी कितनी सिलेक्टिव यूज होती है, सिलेक्टिव यूज। और आज मान लो इट्स 15 रुपीज पर केजी, 20 रुपीज पर केजी, तो तुम्हारे घरों में देखना कि टोमेटिनो फेस्टिवल होगा। सब चीजों में कहीं ना कहीं टमाटर टमाटर दिखेंगे, मल्टीपल यूज ऑफ द सेम प्रोडक्ट। Why? That commodity has become, cheaper now, so that we can consume in different set of goods and services, different set of products, I'll say. Remember, when I'm talking about, when we are discussing about limited resources, we always consider in relative sense. Limited resources, we always consider in relative sense. So, you will be surprised to know that when Mukesh Ambani and Adani, they are also facing the problem of limited resources only. अब अगर हम उनको कंपेयर करें तो हमें लगेगा कि उनके पास क्या नहीं है. But then when we are talking about limited resources in a relative sense, understood? In relative sense, that's why resources become limited. So in the environment entirely, generally, we consider that these resources are limited. So today also you are struggling with the resources. When you will become an IAS officer, there also you will be struggling with limited resources. So there will be never a point wherein you will have each and everything and you will find that, resources have become abundant to you. Never. Each and every point of time, you will face the same situation. Why? Because your desires and wants will go to such an height that, each and every time you will find that you are struggling with resources. Today you are struggling with 2 meals in a day. Tomorrow you'll be struggling with butter roti. Day after tomorrow you'll be struggling with naan and other variety of food. Day after tomorrow, you will be struggling with some or other thing. With the focus that, with the intent that, resources are limited. Please do write. Whenever economics class will be there, you need to carry a separate notebook for it, and each and everything which I'll be dictating and which I'll be explaining, that need to be written in same notebook. Understood? So that at the end of the session, you need not to prepare a separate notebook for that, and each and everything is compiled in that notebook only for your revision also. Please write it the way, in the similar fashion, the way I have written. Shall we move? Now coming back. Now, if you start talking about the different challenges being faced by the economy, whether it's poverty, whether it's unemployment, whether it's price rise, and if you could try to find out the reasons behind all these problems, the reasons are simply limited resources. So if you want to understand that as a country, why we are facing the problem of poverty, so the central problem with any economy is not Garibi, not Berozgari, but the central problem with any economy is limited resources. The problem of Garibi and Berozgari can be, the problem of Berozgari and Garibi can be tackled if the country will be having abundant resources. So if you are being asked that what is the central cause or what is the central problem being faced by any economy, your answer should be very, very simple. It's not Garibi, it's not Beruzgari, it's limited resources. Don't you think if as a country, if we do have abundant resources in form of man, money, material, I mean, we will be in a position to resolve all the problems and challenges being faced in our economy. So whatever the challenges we do have in the economy, whether it's hunger and starvation, whether it's problem being faced by the farmers, whether it's problem being faced by the people in northeastern states, whether it's problem being faced by women in the society, whether it's problem of food price rise. So all these problems can be resolved when as a country will have abundant resources. So the real challenge within economy is not Garibi, not Berozgari. The real challenge within economy is limited resources. So if at the country level or national level, if we will talk about that our farmers are committing suicide, the youths are unemployed, the girls are not getting proper education, the women are not empowered, rural infrastructure is not good. So these no doubt are the challenges being faced by one or the other. But then what is the root cause of it? The root cause is limited resources. So write down the central problem. The central problem being faced by any economy is scarce or limited resources. Scarce or limited resources. Going forward. Yes. I did not understand how the according to me, I don't have a no, don't worry. According to me, we have plenty of resources. Like, what do you mean? Natural resources or what sort of resources? Resources in economics means, I mean, man, money, material, each and everything which you see in and around in economics can be considered to be a resource. You are also a resource. I am also a resource to this organization. We, all of us, are a resource to the entire nation. So, I mean, all these resources need to be utilized to such an extent that optimum productivity can come out of it. Why? The reasons are very simple. Why it's so? Because in relative sense, in relative terms, resources are limited. Understood? So what does this means in relative? That overall in environment, the challenges are many. The challenges are many. In the coming near future, the challenges will be becoming complex. The way things are changing, the way things are becoming dynamic. So with respect to those challenges, with respect to those needs and requirements of the world economy, I mean, we do not have that much resources. If resources in the environment would have been abundant, why some country would have been poor? Why some country would have been richer? If resources would have been abundance, why some countries are struggling with hunger and starvation? It means overall in environment, the resources are not to that extent which can resolve all the problems being faced by the society in general. Understood? So with respect to this, we always consider in economics that the resources are limited. Understood? So if let's say today in India, we are facing different set of challenges, different set of problems. I mean, we do have problem of Garibi, we do have problem of Berozgari, as I mentioned earlier also. So when all these problems are being faced by the economy, don't you think if we could have enough resources, financial resources, we would have invested in lot of government schemes, I mean, in order to, I mean, uplift the poor. If we would have abundant resources, definitely we would have taken care of larger investment in agriculture so that our overall supply would have increased and it would have calmed down the food prices. But then we could not do so simply because with respect to needs and requirements of the economy today, we do not have that much resources. Today, if you would have enough each and everything which you want, I think there was no need from your side to be here today morning. If I would have been having each and everything which I'm expecting, which I'm desiring to have, I would not have been today here morning. So what was the reason? As I told you in the morning, I mean, at the start of the lecture, that what is the reason why I'm here? I'm here because I'm struggling with something called a resource. I want to have each and everything, but today I'm not having. So I want to have Mercedes, I want to have BMW, and want to enjoy each and everything. So with respect to those needs and requirements, I'm struggling with resources. And that's why it's not only financial. Again, we are talking about economics, a very broad term. I told you it's not money only, it's man also. India has one of the largest populations. So we don't have less men available. Yeah. But I agree partly when you said that we have resources challenges as well. So maybe the central problem most economic problems cannot just be lack of yes, lack of yes. No, limited resources only. If the problem of resources would be resolved, so altogether all these problems will automatically get resolved. Understood? So if the problems of resources will get resolved, I mean, the problems will get, I mean, why poor countries are more of hunger and starvation as compared to rich countries? Because rich countries are having abundant resources. They do have technology. They do have productive manpower also. They do have human capital. Understood? So it's not only about population. It's all about to what extent your population is skilled and what requires in order to make them skilled. You need to have financial resources. You need to have, I mean, trainers. You need to have proper systems in place, and each and everything needs resources. Today, if we could have, I mean, abundant resources, don't you think we could have invested largely in agriculture? Our production and supply would have increased. That would have increased the income of the farmers also. So automatically, when supply side will increase, that will come down the prices. But today it's not there. Why? Because we are not having that much resources. Understood? Sure enough? Ask me whenever you are in doubt. And don't worry, I mean, at one point of time, no one has any economics background. See, your statement that you are not having economics background is contradicted. As I told you in our early morning, that right from the morning, you apply economic principles. Your decision to wear this or not, your decision to buy this or buy something else was also an economic decision. Your decision to buy each and everything, your decision to select Unique Academy, your decision to be in Pune and not in Delhi was also an economic decision. Understood? So most of the time, I mean, Indians, I mean, each and every one of us apply economic principles. I mean, the only problem is that we are never aware that these are economic principles. I told you now, whenever some guest comes to you and they give you 2,000, 5,000 rupees note, you feel happy about it. You are delighted. See, your decision to कि किसको क्या देना है in the form of gifts also becomes an economic decision. Understood? So each and everything, I'll be putting different examples, understood, in order to make you understand. Don't worry whether you do have economics background or not. At one point of time, no one has economics background. Understood? Even at one point of time, I was also not having economic background when I started. But anyway, I mean, things will become very, very easy for you while we move forward. Any question from others also? Any question, please? Now you are convinced, not confused now?
What are the unlimited resources? Like, if they can affect the economic.
Resources cannot be unlimited. No, that's what it is. The real challenge, that's what I'm talking about now. The real challenge with all of us. See, economy starts from you, an individual unit. Don't you think you do not have, I mean, unlimited resource with you? You do have limited resources or not? So economy starts from individual unit. Then it comes a individual household, family, society, economy, world economy. So as individual unit level, if you are struggling with limited resources, the same thing will apply to the country and to the world economy also. Understood? So that's what I explained it to her, that in real sense, the needs and requirements, the challenges are many. Understood? And in relation to that, we do have limited resources. And that's why time and again I quoted that whenever we are talking about limited resources, we are talking in terms of relative. We are not talking in absolute terms. Understood? So in relation to what is the requirement, and requirement is that कि आपकी जो wants है ना, desires है ना, वो क्या है, unlimited है. पैसे कम है, 20 रुपए है मेरे पॉकेट में, बट मेरे अरमान क्या है कि JW Marriott में खाता तो अच्छा हो. So with respect to that desire, that want, I do have limited resources. Understood? और अगर लिमिटेड रिसोर्स नहीं होते ना, तो तुम यहाँ पर नहीं होते, मैं यहाँ पर नहीं होता, और इंस्टीट्यूट भी नहीं होता. अंडरस्टूड? हम लोग इसलिए तो हैं. तुम क्लर्क क्यों नहीं बनना चाहते? ये मत देना इकोनॉमिक्स में रीजन कि मुझे सोशल वर्क करने का मौका मिले. ऐसे भी तुम सोशल वर्क कर सकते हो. पैंडेमिक में कितना अच्छा मौका था. तो सोशोलॉजिस्ट बोलेंगे कि सोशल वर्क करना चाहते हैं, मैं नहीं बोलता. अंडरस्टूड? मैं क्या बोलता हूं? तुम इसी के लिए हो कि ज्यादा पैसा. दैट्स व्हाई यू हैव टेकन मोर रिस्क. सो द रीजन व्हाई यू वांट टू बिकम एन आईएएस ऑफिसर, तुम बोलोगे कि सर सोशल वर्क नहीं, दे आर द हाईएस्ट पेड इन द कंट्री. अंडरस्टूड? मोर सिक्योरिटी यू वांट टू अटेन, और इसलिए तुम क्लर्क नहीं बनना चाहते. अब समझ में आ रहा है? आगे बढ़े ऑल ऑफ यू. और जिनके पास ज्यादा है ना, मुझे दे दो. जिनके पास अबंडेंट रिसोर्सेस है. मैं तो टीचर हूं ना, गरीब आदमी, और मैं बहुत मांगूंगा आने वाले दिनों में 100 रुपए, 200 रुपए. डोंट वरी, I'll be giving you ample opportunity where you can lend it to me with no interest and no guarantee also that I'll be repaying back. I'll be repaying back only when you will be clearing UPSC. And I know जब UPSC clear कर लोगे तो मैं दूंगा भी, तो तुम नहीं लोगे. Anyway, going forward, pay attention. What will be focusing upon a few concepts I am trying to build you related to the subject called economics. See, in economics, we always tend to optimum utilization of resource. Optimum utilization. We never focus upon maximum. Understood? We never focus upon maximum utilization. So what does the optimum utilization of resource means? I'll give you my example. I am also a resource for Unique Academy. Unique Academy pays me. Now, my director sir told me that, sir, since you are paid, so you need to start at 8 o'clock in the morning. You need to take lectures from 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 2, 2 to 4, by 4 you need to wind it up. बताइए, आई एम ए रिसोर्स फॉर यूनिक एकेडमी, बट इस रिसोर्स का यूटिलाइजेशन कैसे हो रहा है? मैक्सिमम. और इस मैक्सिमम में क्या होगा कि आई विल बी क्वाइट एनर्जेटिक इन बिट फ्रॉम 8 to 10, but not from 10 to 12 or 12 to 2. I'll not be getting time in order to prepare myself for the tomorrow. I'll not be getting time to update myself. And definitely, I mean, when I'll be taking lecture from 2 to 4, I'll be completely annoyed. I'll not be responding well to my students. I'll not be delivering well. And that will not affect my performance, but that will affect the performance of the institute as well as learning outcomes of the students as well. This may not be sustained also, because tomorrow if same pattern is being followed, I may not be that much energetic, that much energy. I'm not be having that much energy in order to continue also. And at one point of time, I'll be giving up. So this can be maximum utilization. Optimum utilization can be that sir told me that, sir, you will take lectures from 8 to 10, then take a break of half an hour, then take lecture from 10:30 to 12:30, and then one it for the day so that you can prepare for the lectures tomorrow. You can update. Since economics is very dynamic subject, you need to go through the newspapers also. That's why, I mean, you need time for it. So tomorrow when I'll be coming with fresh energy, I'll be coming with fresh set of mind, fresh set of input, and definitely I'll be delivering well also. And at the same time, the learning outcomes of the students will also be, increased. So the second case can be considered to be optimum utilization. You get 6,000 rupees in a month. तुमने क्या किया कि 6,000 रुपया आए और तुमने क्या किया कि मुझे भी पार्टी दिया, दोस्तों को भी पार्टी दिया, and next morning we're not having a single penny. This can be maximum. Understood? Optimum utilization क्या होता कि आप देख रही कि 6,000 रुपये आते हैं, 2,000 रुपये मुझे मेस के देने हैं, 2,000 रुपये मुझे लॉजिंग के देने हैं, 2,000 रुपये में मेरा आना जाना. I mean, if this could have managed by you considering your ultimate objective, so that would have been optimum utilization. Remember, in economics, when we talk about resources, we do not talk about, maximum utilization. Economics always teaches about optimum utilization. I'll give you another example where you will be able to understand. कभी तुम लोग ने, जब तुम लोग इस एज में 20 रुपए देकर और पानी की बॉटल खरीद कर पीते हो, तो तुम देखो क्या करते हो कि पानी की लास्ट बूंद तक तुम्हारे गले के नीचे ना जाए, तब तक you ensure that the last drop in the bottle should. आप बताइए, वही पानी मैं ऐसे दूं आपको तो थोड़ा पीते हो, घर में थोड़ा छोड़ देते हो. This can be maximum wastage, exploitation, but that cannot be optimum utilization. Again, I'll be quoting few more examples in order to make you understand this particular concept. At your home, you must have experienced that while brushing, आपके tap water on रहते हैं. By the time you end up, तब तक in on ही रहते हैं, and there is a larger wastage of water. I know you pay for this, but then that cannot be considered to be optimum utilization. That considered to be, I mean, maximum. So optimum utilization is that कि जितनी जरूरत थी उतना किया और बंद कर दिया. अपने घरों में देखा होगा, the Indian ladies, I mean, while they are very particular about Indian serials, तो वो क्या करती है कि रात में किचन में काम करती हैं आधा, और दिमाग कहाँ रहता है कि टेलीविजन ड्राइंग रूम में. अंडरस्टूड. सो नाइदर दे आर फोकस देयर नॉर देयर. बताइए इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंजम्पशन हो रहा है कि नहीं, रिसोर्सेज का यूटिलाइजेशन हो रहा है कि नहीं, बट रिसोर्सेज का कैसा यूटिलाइजेशन है, मैक्सिमम कैन नॉट बी ऑप्टिमम. अंडरस्टूड. So in economics, what is I mean, what we tend to focus upon? We tend to focus upon optimum utilization. Understood? So economics always teaches about optimum utilization. Understood? Not maximum. Is it fine, all of you? Did you get the meaning of? See, the reason why you are here, before selecting any institute, you would have tried to resolve so many queries. Itself suggests that you are trying to take certain optimum decision. If you would have abundant resources, so आप इतना टेंशन नहीं लेते कि कहाँ जाना है कहाँ नहीं. आप अगर यहाँ पर आप satisfied नहीं होते तो you could have gone somewhere else also. But since you were struggling with limited resources, आपने एक एक स्टेप लिया, you surveyed कि भाई कहाँ बेस्ट होगा आपके लिए. You surveyed कि which institute is the best in Pune. You surveyed कि where success rate is high. You must have surveyed what are the fee structure of different institutes, and after investigating each and everything, finally you would have made up your mind to take admission here. But before that also, you tend to attend demo lectures in order to find out what is the quality of teaching delivery. So why this happens? This happens only because you are struggling with limited resources. अगर इतना abundant रहता तो अगर यहाँ पर satisfied नहीं रहते, तो would have gone somewhere else. But then तुम जानते हो कि since you at your level also is struggling with limited resources, I mean, you have taking decisions, I mean, very smartly, very rationally, where you are taking, I mean, so many factors into consideration before taking the final decision as to whether you need to take admission here or not. So in the overall process, what you are ensuring that whatever the limited resource you are having, you are making optimum utilization. Understood, all of you? Now, I need to tell you what we'll be covering. See, initially, when we'll be moving, since economics is technical, largely I'll be covering upon concepts building. In concepts building, I'll be focusing upon certain components of microeconomics. What do you mean by demand? What do you mean by supply? What do you mean by consumer behavior? What do you mean by producer behavior? What do you mean by different forms of market structure, monopoly, of a competition, monopolistic, oligopoly? I mean, all these things will be discussing under microeconomics. So here my focus will be that as a student, you need to understand the concepts. You need to develop clarity about this particular concept so that you can apply, I mean, in macroeconomics. Once we are done with microeconomics and certain components of it, I'll be moving forward to macroeconomics, where in macroeconomics, I'll be covering upon, I mean, the foundations of microeconomics, nature and scope of macroeconomics. Will be studying national income. Under national income, we'll be studying different macroeconomic variables we'll be studying macroeconomic aggregates like GDP, GNP, national income, how we can determine national income, what are the different methods of calculating national income, what is income method, what is expenditure method, what is gross value added method or output method. So these are different methods of calculating national income. I'll also be discussing about what are the limitations of measuring, what are the limitations of measuring national income in India, what are the new patterns, methods and methodology, we follow in India while calculating national income. I'll also be talking about, what do you mean by nominal GDP, nominal real GDP, what do you mean by GDP deflator? All these things will be talking under the topic called national income. Apart from it, we'll also be talking about certain development measures wherein I'll be ensuring a distinction between these two particular terms called growth and development. And I'll also be talking about some of the welfare measures such as, some of the development indicators such as human development index, gross national happiness. All these things will be discussing under national income. Afterwards, I will be talking about inflation. Under inflation, I'll be teaching you what are the two different types of inflation. What do you mean by demand pull inflation? What do you mean by cost push inflation? What are the different forms of inflation? What do you mean by creeping inflation? What do you mean by hyperinflation? What do you mean by reflation? What do you mean by stagflation? What do you mean by Philip curve? All these things we'll be discussing there. Apart from it, we'll also be discussing how we can measure inflation in India. What do you mean by wholesale price index? What do you mean by consumer price index? What is the base year related to it? What are the impact of inflation? What will be the impact of inflation on a lower state of the society? How the inflation will be impacting debtors? How the inflation will be impacting creditors? How the inflation will be impacting exports? And what are the steps we can take in order to control inflation? So these all together will be studying under the topic called inflation. Then comes money and banking. Under money and banking, I'll be talking about what are the different forms of money, what are the fiat money, what do you mean by intrinsic value of money, what do you mean by fiduciary, what do you mean by, what are the different functions of money, what do you mean by demand for money, what do you mean by transaction motive, what do you mean by precautionary, what do you mean by speculative motive, what do you mean by liquidity trap? All these things will be covering there. Apart from it, when we talking about supply of money also, well, I'll be teaching you different money supply aggregates. First of all, I'll be making you understand about the meaning of supply of money, wherein I'll be telling you that money supply is stock variable, not a flow variable. So what do you mean by stock variable? That all these things will be discussing. Apart from it, I'll also be discussing you monetary and liquidity aggregates. Under monetary aggregates, you must have studied also those who are having economics background. What do you mean by reserve money, M0? What do you mean by M1, M2, M3, M4? What do you mean by new measures of money supply? NM1, NM2, NM3. What are the liquidity aggregates? L1, L2, L3. That's what we'll be discussing under money supply. Once we are done with, we'll be talking about the fundamentals about banking. What do you mean by bank? What do you mean by NIM? What do you mean by bank capital? What do you mean by NPAs related to banks? What do you mean by standard assets? What do you mean by loss assets? What do you mean by doubtful assets? Understood? We'll also be talking about insolvency and bankruptcy code. We'll also be talking about monetary policy by RBI. What are the different tools of monetary policy? What do you mean by SLR? What do you mean by CRR? What do you mean by repo rate, reverse repo rate, MSF? All these things will be studying under money and banking. Once that is being done, we'll be we'll be touching public finance, wherein I'll be talking about the different components of budget, different meanings of, different dimensions of public finance. What do you mean by revenue management, expenditure management? What are the different type of deficits? What do you mean by revenue deficits? What do you mean by budgetary deficits, fiscal deficits, primary deficits, effective revenue deficits? That's what we'll be talking about. I'll also be talking about public debt, and under these, I'll also be taking a lot of examples as how Sri Lanka is facing crisis, Pakistan is facing crisis, what are the reasons behind debt in that particular country, how India manages its debt, how India manages its internal debt, how India manages its external debt, what are the debt management sustainability indicators. So that's what we'll be talking under public finance. Apart from in under public finance, we'll also be talking about disinvestment. You must be reading the newspaper that lot of news related to disinvestment is there. So I'll also be referring to disinvestment. I mean, taking the current examples as to how government will be disinvesting its stake in IDBI, how the government will be disinvesting its stake in BPCL, how the government has disinvested its stake in LIC. All these will be studying under something called disinvestment. Along with it, we'll also be discussing what is the rationale behind disinvestment. Understood? Once that is done, we'll be talking about foreign exchange market and balance of payment. Under foreign exchange market, what do you mean by currency appreciation? How exchange rate is determined? What are the reason why our currency has depreciated with respect to US dollar? I mean, our currency has touched $1 is equal to 80, 81. So what can be the reason behind it? What do you mean by fixed exchange rate? What do you mean by flexible exchange rate? What type of exchange rate we follow in India? To what extent RBI intervenes in the foreign exchange market? All these things will be studying under, foreign exchange market. We'll also be talking about purchasing power parity, how with the help of this, we try to measure exchange rate. We'll also be talking about, balance of payment. What do you mean by current account? What do you mean by capital account? What do you mean by errors and omissions? What do you mean by overall BOP balance? What do you mean by monetary movements? All these things will be part of balance of payment. Once that is being done, we'll be focusing upon financial markets, where we will be touching upon money market and capital market. Under money market, I'll be teaching you, the relevance of money market in Indian context or for Indian economy. Under money market, I'll also be talking about different money market instruments. What do you mean by commercial paper? What do you mean by call money? What do you mean by notice money? What do you mean by call rates? What do you mean by money market mutual fund? What do you mean by collateralized lending and borrowing obligations? What do you mean by non-convertible debentures? What do you mean by commercial paper? What do you mean by certificates of deposits? All these things will be covering under money market. Once we'll be focusing upon, capital market, then we'll be talking about two different segments of capital market, that is primary market and secondary market. Under primary market, what do you mean by IPO? What do you mean by FPO? What do you mean by bonus issue? What do you mean by right issue? What do you mean by private placements? Under secondary market, we'll be talking about how stock market moves. What is the relevance of secondary market? What do you mean by BSE? What do you mean by NSE? What do you mean by bull? What do you mean by bear? What do you mean by insider trading? What do you mean by short selling? What do you mean by buyback of shares? What do you mean by EPS? What do you mean by price earning ratio? All these things will become part of capital market. Once that is done, these are the largely conceptual topics which will be which I'll be covering. First of all, once you understand these particular topics, then I'll be focusing upon current affairs topics also, so that you are aligned with the current developments also. Once that is being done, then I'll be taking up subjective topics, and those topics will be largely part of GS paper 3 mains, wherein I'll be talking about the relevance of inclusive growth, why inclusive growth is important for Indian economy, what are the issues related to inclusive growth, what are the different forms of resource mobilization in India, about 5-year plans, what are the different forms of planning, what is the relevance of planning commission in market-based economy. All these things will be discussing under 5-year plans. Then I'll also be focusing upon certain components, certain social issues like garibi, berozgari. When I say that मैं गरीब हूँ, what does this means? What are the different dimensions of garibi? Whether deprivation of any kind can be considered to be garibi or not. What are the different committees which have come forward in order to define poverty? What is the poverty line? what is the poverty gap, what is head count ratio, what is Lorentz curve, what is Gini coefficient. All these things will be studying under poverty. Unemployment, different meanings of unemployment. Unemployment from developing economy perspective, unemployment from developed country perspective. What do you mean by cyclic unemployment? What do you mean by frictional unemployment? What do you mean by disguised unemployment? What is the state of unemployment in Indian context? What is the level of rural unemployment? What is the level of urban unemployment? All these things we'll be studying under unemployment. Then we'll also be studying international financial institutions like IMF, WGAT, and WTO, because the issues related to IMF, GATT, and WTO becomes very, very important from UPSC point of view. Apart from it, we'll also be discussing investment models which India has applied post-independence. So I'll be talking about what do you mean by Harrow-Domar model growth, which we applied in the first 5-year plan. We then will be mentioning about Mahalanobis model of growth, which we apply in second 5-year plan. We'll be talking about Levis model. We'll also be talking about Gandhian philosophy of investment or Gandhian model of growth, Nehruvian model of growth. All these things we'll be talking under investment models. Thereafter, under investment, we'll also be talking about public-private partnership models. Wherein we'll be talking about BOT, build, operate, transfer, build, Swiss model. Also, we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about hybrid annuity model. We'll be talking about toll, operate, transfer model. So there are different public-private partnership models which in India we have applied, and I'll be covering it. Once these things are being done, then again I'll be coming up with current affairs, and under current affairs the second part will be I'll be focusing upon economic survey, the latest economic survey. I'll also be discussing with you the different features of union budget, latest union budget, which will be talking about, which will be coming. So that also I'll be discussing. Apart from it, I'll be focusing upon how you can tackle prelims based question, and there will be a program called Indian Economy Mentorship Program, understood, under which writing practice is being taken care of, because most of the time students lack that confidence in writing GS Mains paper 3, because that largely consists of economics part. So apart from lecture, that particular session will be purely for current affairs related questions which can be asked, and ensuring students that assisting them so that they can write well as far as economics part is concerned. So each and everything will be taken care of. That's how we'll be moving. And whatever I have quoted today, and you will find it that each and everything which I have quoted, I will be, fulfilling it. इससे कम नहीं होगा. Always be sure that more will be added, considering the subject being too much dynamic. Apart from it, what I'll be expecting from you all, that you will be carrying a separate notebook for this particular subject. Please do not try to miss any lecture, because all the lectures will be related to each other. Once you are missing a single lecture, it becomes very difficult for you to understand the next lecture, and that you yourself will find yourself to be struggling in understanding the concepts. So don't try to miss. I'm not saying that you will not face any challenge. At your level, all of us face challenge, but definitely we need to prioritize at that level also. And when you know that you need to prepare for UPSC, you need to understand the concepts. So try to be alert, attentive as far as attending session is concerned. So don't try to miss. Attend as many lectures as possible, and writing notes. I'll be giving you notes in writing form in the class. That's why I'm asking you to carry a separate notebook for economics. Apart from it, you need to refer जो notes होंगे उसके अलावे आपको रेफर करने होंगे एनसीईआरटी के जो बुक्स मैंने बोले हैं. 11th-12th के 3 जो एनसीईआरटी के बुक्स हैं, माइक्रो, मैक्रो एंड इंडियन इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट, यही तीनों बुक्स रेफर करने हैं. इसके अलावे अभी मैंने आपको कोई बुक्स रेफर करने के लिए नहीं बोला है. 80% of the notes will be dictated to you in the class. Understood? जो मैं पढ़ाऊंगा आपको डिक्टेट करूंगा लिखने के लिए, because I want you all to develop writing skills also. और जब आप लिखते हैं तो better clarity comes out and आपको पता चलता है कि whether you have understood or not. So at that point of time also you can ask me if you have any doubt regarding any concept. Apart from it, I'll be giving you a separate study material also as far as men's related subject is men's related topics are concerned. Separate study material will be given to you. These three books you need to follow sincerely. I mean, don't follow any guide, don't follow any other book as of now. I mean, when you'll find yourself that you have read all these three books, three entire books, and you have completed all these chapters, and you have read all these chapters, and you have completed all these chapters, and you have read all these chapters, and you have completed all these chapters, and you have read all these chapters, and you have completed all these chapters, and you have read all these chapters, and you have completed all these chapters, and you have read all these chapters, and you have completed all these chapters, and you have read all these chapters, and you have completed all these chapters,
विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो 2 मिनिटं वेट करा.
Oops. Am I audible? Dear students, I'm so sorry that due to certain technology failure, these were certain obstacles which came. So going forward, what I'm trying to tell you, what we were discussing, that uh, what will be the pattern of the lectures in the coming uh, uh, what will be the pattern of the lectures, wherein I told you that initially I'll be focusing upon fundamentals, conceptual clarity, and the topics related to it. So I'll told you also about what set of topics I'll be covering upon. Then I also told you that I'll be covering the current affairs also. Afterwards, I told you that we'll be taking up certain topics related to GD also. Sorry, GD, I'm talking about topics related to GS paper 3 mains also, wherein I told you the different topics also. Then the writing practice also I emphasized upon it, because most of the time students is stuck in overall writing. So in order to ensure that they develop a writing practice as far as economic section is concerned, we'll have separate session for it. I also told you that what set of books will be following. Then I told you only NCERT you need to follow initially. And when you will be convinced that you are done with NCERT, then you will be coming to me and I'll be asking you to refer one or the other book, depending upon your level of understanding. The magazines and newspapers become important part of economics. And as far as if you could see the questions pattern of the coming years, you will find that most of the questions which are being asked either in prelims or mains are largely from current. So how to update the current affairs? Though I'll be taking up topics related to current affairs, but then you need to refer to newspapers and magazines. See, most of the time don't have any need about reading newspapers and magazines, and I'll be focusing specifically about these two. When you'll be asking some other students, where they may say that, say you need to read only 6 months newspaper before going to exam. This is a completely myth. Please do not, follow it. Reasons are very simple. When you are reading newspapers and magazines, and let's see, when a particular a particular article related to a particular issue is being given in the newspaper. So when you are reading newspaper, you are getting different dimensions of a particular issue, which you cannot get it from reading a particular book or reading certain set of notes. So try to read newspapers religiously. Wherein you can get multi dimensions of a particular topic, and UPSC needs multi-dimension. So let's say, if there are certain articles related to poverty, and you are reading those articles by different set of authors, by different set of experts. So definitely reading those articles from different set of experts will give you different dimensions of that particular topic, and your set of informations which will be developing will be enriched. So that's what is required by UPSC. You cannot do a rata sort of thing and you can go to write UPSC papers. As far as economics is concerned, reading newspaper is more important than reading a book. Reading magazines are more important than a book. So please do follow reading newspapers and reading magazines. One thing I'm also convinced of the fact that at the initial stage when you'll be reading newspapers, and those are articles related to business and economics, most of the time you will be feeling sleepy and you will not be developing interest in reading newspapers. You will also have a very authentic query that, sir, I spent 2 hours reading the newspaper, but I didn't get anything out of it, and that's why I am feeling discouraged whether I need to go for reading newspapers or not. See, in that initial stage, this is bound to happen. You take it the way it is. At the initial stage when you'll be reading newspapers, that is bound to happen.
and the time consumption will be very the time consumption will be more. But then once you are done with the conceptual part, which I'll be focusing upon, trust me, I mean the time as well as the level of understanding will go up. Time will be reduced and level of understanding will go up. And then you will be able to analyze, then you will be able to enjoy different set of topics, issues which are being there in the newspapers. So it does not matter what I'm trying to tell you. I am also expecting, I know the challenges, I know the problems, I know what set of problems you will be facing while reading newspaper at an initial stage. I'm convinced of the fact, but then that's why I'm trying to tell you, even though you are not able to understand a single thing, please do not give up the habit of reading newspapers. Go with it. Unless and until you go with it, I mean, a particular time will come where you'll find yourself that you are able to understand the context. Again, a time will come wherein you will be able to say to me only that, sir, now I'm in a position to understand the substance of the article also. So that is bound to happen, and at certain point of time you will find yourself that कि today आज मुझे newspaper पढ़ने में it hardly takes 1 hour and I can go through all the articles, because most of the articles are repetitive in nature, and I could sense which article is good and which article is not good. I could sense which articles are political motivated and which articles are good for economic section. So these set of this set of decisions by you will be at your own when you'll be reading newspapers on a regular basis. Please do at the initial stage, whatever you understand or don't understand, don't bother about it. I mean, time and again, I can assure you that in the next 3 months, wherein I'll be completing your conceptual part, till then you will facing a lot of challenges. But once your conceptual part is done, I'm assured that you will be able to understand at least 30% to 40% of the newspaper or that particular article. So from there on, you can continue, and definitely at a particular point of time will come where you are able to understand it largely. Now, how to read the newspaper? See, you need to have a pen, you need to have a paper, notebook when you will be reading newspapers. Try to read and try to think about it also. Thinking is more important than reading. The time which you'll be giving in thinking related to a particular issue should be more as compared to reading. Unless and until you think about what you read, you will not be able to develop a perspective or dimension of that particular issue. So think largely about it, and definitely when you'll be thinking about that issue, you can recall it for a longer period of time. Only reading never does and will never help you also. See, most of the time, you will find that you must have experienced that कि आपने 2 घंटे हिस्ट्री पढ़ा, 2 घंटे ज्योग्राफी पढ़ा, और उसके 2 घंटे के बाद आप रिकॉल कर रहे हो तो आपको कुछ याद ही नहीं आ रहा है. जानते हो इसका रीजन क्या होता है? रीजन यही होता है कि आप ब्लाइंडली पढ़ते चले गए and you have never given a thought to what you are reading. So when you are reading a single paragraph, what's he doing? Focus upon. When you are reading a paragraph, what you need to focus upon, that once you are done with that particular paragraph, think about that particular paragraph, think about the contents of that paragraph with the previous one, so that you can have a correlation between the contents of these two particular paragraphs. So these things are very, very important as far as not only economics, any subject is concerned. So let's say a particular news article has 5 paragraphs. So you need to read each paragraph, give a pause, and then start think about that particular contents of that particular paragraph. Give 5 minutes to it, give time to it, then only you will be in a position to, understand it well, recall it well. So when you start thinking about something, you start getting insights about it also, and your mind also, your common sense also start giving you a new dimensions to it also. There will be many confusions to it. You will be facing a lot of confusions. At times you are convinced and not convinced. I'll tell you, in economics, where you are not convinced, that is a very good sign, because at least you are thinking to the extent that you are thinking contrary to what it has been given. Understood? So when you are getting a different dimension, when you are contradicting something, as to क्यों हुआ, ऐसा होना था क्या, ऐसा क्यों हुआ, सर ने तो ऐसा सिखाया था, ऐसा यहाँ पर क्यों न्यूज़पेपर में दिया हुआ है. तो अगर ये सब सारी बातें, if you are getting these things in your mind, that is a good sign. You are applying your mind, brain, soul into it, and that's what is required. So please, I'm telling you, do read newspapers and don't start making notes out of from day one from the newspapers. I mean, making notes making should start once when you are able to understand the things. Understood? And once you are able to understand the things, you can, I mean, make notes in very simple words, in your own words, and that will help you in revision prior to exams. So that's what should be the approach towards newspapers and magazines. Most of the teachers must have told you that you should refer Indian Express. So to start with those, I mean, those who do not have any economics background, you can start with Indian Express or you can start with Hindu. I mean, whatever newspaper you find yourself comfortable with, as far as my subject is concerned. Understood? So those who do not have economics background, you start with Indian Express, and then finally, if you are in a position to understand it better, you can switch over to the Hindu and Economic Times, depending upon your interest. If you find anything difficulty in the newspaper, you can underline it. You can you can bring that newspaper in the class and you can discuss about it with me after the class as well. Understood? So you can underline it. You do have different set of pens with you with the different colors, and you can underline it depending upon the level of importance of that particular line. You can bring in the class, you can discuss with me also. Understood? So as far as the approach is concerned, I want to give my 100% to you so that you can understand this subject very, very well. Next important point which I want to tell you in the first class is that about this particular subject, I mean, the focus is that you need to apply the theory with the current affairs. So once you are done with current affairs, we know the background of the current developments, then only you will be able to apply, I mean, theory with current affairs. The question patterns which are coming in the examination, you can find it whether it's prelims or mains. Most of the questions are based on current developments in economics. So remember one thing here, two things becomes important, not only updation about current affairs, but clarity about the concepts also. And that's why I told you in the beginning also that the first part of the lecture will be only wherein I'll be focusing upon concept development. So why concept development? Because once you are having clarity with the concept, definitely then only you can think about it, you can analyze it, you can start applying it with the current affairs. So concluding what I'm trying to tell you today, I talked about the meaning of economics in a very, very simple and plain way. Economics. Then I told you what will be the approach. What will be the approach? And in approach, I told you that will be focusing upon concept development. I told you the topics also. Then I told you that we will be focusing upon current affairs also. And then I told you that we'll be studying the subjective topics like subjective topics from GS paper 3, the investment models, then resource mobilization, 5-year plans, international institutions, social issues like poverty and unemployment. All these things will be covered under it. Apart from it, I also told you that we'll be focusing upon writing skills also, wherein I'll be taking separate sessions wherein you can come and write different different questions being given to me, and based on current affairs also, based on pure theory also, so that you can develop your writing skills. Understood? So apart from it, I told you that you need to follow NCERT books as of now. Understood? NCERT books. So that's what we discussed today. So now the session is open for you. You can ask me questions. I mean, if you find any.
What is the timeline of your completion of syllabus?
I'll be taking in around 35 lectures. Understood? 35 lectures means 70 hours. So let's say if I'm starting after the demo session, your demo session ends and I'll be starting. So you can well understand in a week, if I'll be taking 2 lectures per week, so you can calculate it. So 3 to 4 months, 4 months you can consider. But then as far as current developments are concerned, writing practice is concerned, that will go on beyond that. Because I mean, current affairs, there is no stop for current affairs, no stop for writing skills. So that will go on in separate sessions. Any other question, dear?
What time you have to?
What? You can start it from now. I mean, आप योजना तो शुरू ही कर दो. पढ़ना शुरू करो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. उसके लैंग्वेज भी बहुत सिंपल होते हैं. You can go through. I mean, newspapers and magazines, you can go it from today. Understood? Not books, but newspapers and magazines, you can take it from today. Any other question here? No question is a big question. Chalo then, thank you so much, and see that you come prepared next time and ask as many questions as possible. And we'll be starting